Daytona International Speedway. I'm Rick James, here to bring you all the uninterrupted flag-to-flag coverage with my partner in crime, Eddie Kalegi. Before we go through the field, we have a very, very special introduction for tonight's race. Let me welcome the one and only Matt.
Hey everyone at the Online Motorsports Association. It's Matt Benedetto, driver of the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. First off, thank you all so much for your support and pulling for me and my 21 team every week. But you have your virtual racing championship season opener at Daytona, and I am proud to be able to have the honor to give you guys the command to get ready and go green in the 6th annual Daytona 250.
Big thanks to Matt Benedetto. Ed, welcome to the show. Welcome to the season opener here at Daytona. It's going to be a thriller.
Absolutely. 21 drivers, biggest field ever for the 6th running of the Daytona 250. Tyler McDonald and Ike Shelley on the front row. One's a veteran, one's a rookie, and then the dual winners, Jonah Yohanan and Paul Jackson in row 2. But they are entering the restart zone. 21 cars, roar to life. The green flag is in the air, and we are racing in the 6th edition of the Daytona 250.
The 6th edition is underway. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go racing. Ed, I know we've just started. It's going to be an exciting event here, but in these opening laps, let's remind the fans, the high draft is turned on, and these first laps are going to be wildly crucial to set the tone.
And we already see double file racing. Something notable, Ike Shelley started on the front row. He drops to the inside line to try to get with his two teammates, Tim Moore and Sebastian Kukulon. And the Fords were so dominant at the plate tracks last season, won 3 of the 4 races, had 15 of the 20 top 5 spots altogether. Only 6 Fords in this 21 car field, but they're expected to work well together as Tyler McDonald leads the opening lap of the Daytona 250.
1 lap down and a whole lot more to go. Single file into that first corner, 74, 77, and you see that 96 Camry, I'm sorry, the 90, I lost track of who that was there, Ed, but 1 car jumped out of line there. You've got 2 cars at the front that are pulling away in this tandem. With the high draft, they've got to be sitting ducks early on.
Hey everyone at the Online Motorsports Association. It's Matt Benedetto, driver of the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. First off, thank you all so much for your support.
Trying to make a little Trevor Baynes story. This is his first career VRC start, youngest driver in the field, but he raced his way in through the duels last night, driving an independent number 96 Toyota. Made a little bit of a mistake, and you see with high draft, it hurts as he fell all the way to the back of this group.
Still single file to the inside line, Ed, so these drivers seem to be content to ride around for these first few laps, but sooner rather than later we're going to see that outside line form.
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially since we have teammates 3, 4, and 5 right now. Ike Shelley tried to go to the top, but his 2 teammates, Moore and Kukulon on the inside, do not go with him. Moore, a rookie in the VRC, Kukulon in his 5th season in the VRC, one of the biggest veterans racing full time, but he's not going to make any move. And now it's about 6 cars that got away, but I want you to keep an eye on that 4 of Riley Goff. He's going to suck right up to the back of the 42 of Jared Talmadge. That's the high draft on display, folks, and it's going to help people make passes throughout the race tonight.
You see the Goff of 41 just ahead of this number 41, driven by Eagles, headed into turn 1, and then Kukulon in that 42. Ed, it's the season opener at Daytona, so there's so much at stake, and of course these drivers have a long season ahead, but put yourself in the driver's seat as you've done so many times before. Are your hands still shaking? Is your heart still racing 5 laps into this one?
Oh yeah, it's going the whole 100 laps. It is such a stressful race because you know you want to win. You also have to be careful. You don't want to cause the big one, and it's very hard to stay straight. 21 cars in a pack on NASCAR Heat 5, even if you're single file. Don't let that underestimate the amount of work these guys are doing to keep it single file. It's very difficult to keep control, especially in the high draft, especially with lag being in play, and all of these drivers really on the edge of their seat. Expect some early mistakes like we saw from Kyle England, like we saw from Ike Shelley as these guys start to settle down, because out of these 21 drivers, Rick, 8 of them, this is their first career VRC start. That's almost half the field.
Almost half the field right now in their first start. And so what is that going to mean for these rookies? You see we've got a tandem of 3 back here, but in that driver's meeting, was there a word of caution to the new guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, in the drivers' meeting, there were some warning signs. They explained rules such as not passing below the yellow line and just trying to keep calm and be patient. This is a long race, 100 laps. We're only on lap number 6 right now. There is still a long way to go. You don't need to rush. The first time you can even get points is still lap 50. That's when the halfway bonus happens, and the top 5 in the running order get points. But we're seeing these guys stay cautious, and I'm looking at the front. The top 2, actually 5 of the top 6 right now, all veterans. Tyler McDonald in his 6th Daytona 250, he's raced them all. Jonah Yelhanen making his 2nd 250 start, and he was so solid in the duel. You've got Kukulon in 4th, who was a veteran. Talmadge in 6th, who ran the inaugural 250. He's in his 4th. And Thomas Green is in his 3rd in 5th place. So a lot of experience. Tim Moore is the one sandwiched in the middle. This is his first career VRC start, but we both know Tim Moore's got a lot of experience in a lot of other leagues and knows the importance of staying patient. It's some of these other rookies that raced in the VNS or just, they're new to this, that it's going to be really difficult for them to adapt. That's why the duels were really so crucial last night for these guys to experiment and try to get used to racing in the VRC.
Let's give a shout out one time to my man Uncle Fry in the chat. How are you doing, Fry Dog? Glad to have you here. He chimes in with 100 bits in this OMA season opener. You mentioned Tim Moore, and right now we're looking at him driving around in that number 22 Pennzoil Ford. I see him sitting in 3rd place, and he's keeping a bit of a gap to the car up ahead. Clearly, Tim is no spring chicken. Tim has been around these racetracks more laps than he can literally count. Sitting in 3rd, it's almost up to you to dictate where the race goes from here, because Tim has a drafting partner ahead and a drafting partner behind, and he's the first car in this line with that luxury. So is the 22 genuinely in control of the rest of this pack?
Oh, and I definitely think so. And there's another factor, too. He's got a teammate right behind him in Sebastian Kukulon, who's one of the best pushers in the league. So whenever he wants to try to make a move, he's got other Fords like Riley Goff and Ben Smith that are starting to make their way up the pack. The Hoffman guys are slowly moving up one by one. So keeping that little gap, if he can get a nice run, we know what high draft can do. And we'll try to sneak around to the outside of Jonah Yelhanen and Tyler McDonald. As someone kind of slowed up, I think they got lag spiked and now are stuck up on the outside. That's another one of the rookies, the 88 of Parker Ness, who is sliding back on the outside.
Fry Dog says, choo-choo train. K. Harvick fan chiming in with a hi, Uncle Fry. How you doing, K. Harvick? Glad to have you here as well. That 22 of Word Burton, good friends for a lot of people in this field. A few drivers have fallen off, and you mentioned falling off of that pace, Ed. Right now, you can see there's Paul in that 13 car who's well off the pace. We can see so many drivers falling off this pace. Is there a particular reason that these drivers are so adamant to hold this inside line? It seems like everybody's just a bit afraid's not the word I want to use, but certainly cautious, no pun intended.
I think there's a little bit, there's a few different reasons for this. First of all, it's early in the race. That's the most obvious reason. You don't want to make a move too early. Second of all, other than Moore and Kukulon, there's a lot of alternating of teammates, of manufacturers. It's really hard to get matched up with someone to try to make a move. And with still so many cars in this line, if you try to make a pass, you could easily fall back to 12th, 13th place. And you don't want to be in that position. I think early on, we're going to see them be cautious. But speaking about, other races we've seen this week, we saw the Duel, we saw VNS, we saw the Clash last weekend. It's similar stories where they're calm initially, but I can tell you, everybody, the action is going to pick up soon once these guys start feeling confident that they can make some moves. We see Jonah Yelhanen right there take a little peek to the outside and back to the inside. He's in 2nd place. He led every lap of his duel last night, and he'd love to try to get around Tyler McDonald, who has led every lap so far here on lap 12 of 100 in the Daytona 250. I think they can learn more about each other than anything else and put themselves in a position, you know, where, I mean, we're going to get cautions. We're going to get the halfway bonus at lap 50 regardless. That'll bring the field back together. And this is a real opportunity for them to realize that maybe they can work together, decide how they're going to race each other, and eventually make that move for the lead later in the race. Now, I do have an update from race control. Paul Jackson got a warning for forcing the number 1 of Drew Jewett, your defending series champion, below the yellow line. So he's got to be careful with that. So Paul Jackson, there was a little bit of an incident in the back. He forced Jewett below. That's why they both fell so far back. But you know what? We still have a pretty solid pack. I counted 13 drivers of the 21 still in this main draft. Oh yeah, I mean, 3 months without a VRC race. It's the longest break between seasons we have had so far in the VRC's history. So it's tough for them to try to stay, you know, locked in. Now, one thing I do know, some of these drivers they race in other leagues. I know that's still on NASCAR Heat 5, but they race, you know, during the off season, run some other events and just try to stay sharp. At the same time, there are other guys who also race in Formula One leagues. As Jarrett Talmadge goes through the grass, he'll gather enough no caution, and everybody's all right. But a lot of these guys actually, earlier today, I believe, were in a Formula One race at Silverstone. So they're getting some practice. Of course, that's very different than racing on the high banks of Daytona, but it's kind of just staying sharp in different aspects of racing and just, you know, just trying to be prepared, because after 3 months, it's really hard to come back and be prepared for Daytona. But at the same time, too, there's already been so many events in speed weeks between trucks, DNS, the Clash, and the duels. There's been more than enough opportunities for these guys to shake off the cobwebs.
How about now? Maybe you can hear me now, Uncle Fry. Sorry about that. Atlanta Racing in the chat as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this fella right here is one of the best commentators that has ever been my pleasure to know. Let me do you a favor and let me link my brother Atlanta Racing here in this chat. Twitch.tv/Atlanta Racing. He's recently branched out into iRacing himself. Show my brother some love and let's keep this community rolling. Ed.
All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to, because we're now, we're at lap 18, so we're 17 laps complete here in the Daytona 250. Kind of just want to go through the field a little bit and take a look at who's still in this main draft. So you got Tyler McDonald, former VRC champion, former 250 winner. Then you've got Jonah Johanan, who, like we said, won his duel. And then you have 4 Fords lined up all together. Tim Moore is a rookie. Sebastian Kukulan is a veteran. Riley Goff in his second season and first 250. And the 41 of Michael Barron, another rookie. Then you've got Thomas Green, who raced for Thunderbolt last season and leads for Dark Horse. As Tyler McDonald gets put up near the wall, we're finally going to have the lead change. Johanan's going to split up with him as well. And now Ford goes to control as Tim Moore will take the lead away. I don't know if that was strategy or what. Johanan kind of got back into the back of Tyler McDonald, and I think Johanan decided at that point he would have no friends. He would have 4 Fords behind him and decided to back out. He'll fall back to 5th place. Tyler McDonald all the way back to 13th position.
Timmy Moore in car number 22 taking that lead. He is down and away. Now looking at that number 3 car being piloted by Thomas Green, sitting partway through this field, and car 42 being driven by Talmadge. Let's ride around through 3 and 4 and take a look at the line the 42 has. Almost in the middle of the racetrack. Is he trying to get a run out of 4, or is he trying to scrub some speed off?
I'm not really sure what that strategy is. I saw it, Sebastian Kugelon, last time we were at Daytona, in fact, for the race right before the postseason last year. On the final lap, he, instead of holding the bottom, he went to the middle lane and then kind of chopped down to the bottom, trying to avoid any sort of momentum being built up from behind. But in this situation, Jarrett Talmadge in 12th place, I'm not really sure what the strategy is. My only guess is maybe the 00 of Logan Vera is lagging in front of him, and he's just trying to avoid any sort of lag spike that would cause him to lose this main draft. But I don't really know what Talmadge's strategy was right there.
The 2019 VRC champion, he got the bronze medal in the standings last year. 7th place in dual number 1 and with 6 wins this year. Eddie, the 42 of Talmadge is creeping up through this field, picking off one car at a time. 21 laps into this race. We've got 80 to go. Now, a reminder to the fans, no stages per se. We're going to have a halfway break. And Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, top 5 drivers will get points when they complete lap 50.
Yes, that is correct. There will be a caution at the beginning of lap number 50, and the top 5 will get points. Just a couple other rules for anybody who's new to this. One important rule that you might be very confused, because we're going to be coming to pit stops in the next 5 to 10 laps, and you're going to see people under green going 190 miles an hour on the pit road, which is okay. There is no speed limit when you're coming onto pit road under green. Of course, there is under caution, so you don't overtake other people, but under green, you can go as fast as you want. Now, the one problem that causes, if everybody tries to pit close together, they can all collide and we can see a wreck, which might bring out a caution. So these guys have to be very careful. Fortunately, we've got 4 Fords lined up right in a row that you know will be communicating with each other when they're planning to pit, and they can kind of be on the same page and give each other the necessary space.
The 2018-2019 VRC champion piloting that number 12 peak antifreeze Mustang, Sebastian Kugelon, finished 6th in dual number 1 with 12. Count them, 12. There it is, that black number on the side of his car. 12 VRC wins to his name. He sits behind that other Penske Ford, the 22 of Tim Moore. Now, Ed, we know, and most of the fan base knows, that Tim Moore is very, very skilled in many racing aspects, but he is an Online Motorsports Association rookie. He managed to come home 5th in dual number 1, but that R next to his name, what does it mean to you when you see a rookie out here on the track? Given the fact that this is Tim Moore, Ed, do you still kind of think twice about the R?
I don't know, because in some ways, he's the most experienced outside of this league, just racing everything. I mean, he was going to run an iRacing, part of a 24 Hours a Daytona race. He races everything, so he's got a lot of experience, but at the same time, he's not used to racing with these guys, and that's what's tough for rookies. You have to get used to these people, especially at plate tracks, especially with the braking zones at short tracks and road courses. It's hard to get used to these guys. So I think the R denomination is perfect for any driver, no matter how much experience they have. I mean, from Kyle England, who is coming right up and making his first VRC start right here, and, you know, the youngest driver in the field, to Tim Moore, who's the second oldest driver in the field and has so much racing experience. I really think they're one in the same room.
22-12 for your top 3 as they come to complete 24 laps in this race. Ed, you mentioned that the top 4 are all Ford. Look at that, you've already got one car under the yellow line. That seems to be that 3 Chevrolet of Thomas Green. Not sure what happened there, but he fell back into place. It looks like, did he come down pit road, Ed? I missed it.
Yeah. All right, yeah, he came down pit road. First group coming into pit road, it's a lot of the Chevrolet. JT Sipes, who's making his first OMA start in nearly a calendar year. Drew Jua, the number 1, Paul Jackson, the 13, Kyle England, the 96, Shelley in the 99, all coming down pit road along with Thomas Green. Just keep an eye on this lead pack. This should be interesting as these guys potentially try to come down pit road right here.
Riley Goff, Sebastian Kugelon, Tim Moore, your top 3. That 41 car, another rookie in this top 5, Michael Barron, who came 8th in that second duel, making his OMA debut tonight. None of the leaders come. Well, there they are. Look at the way they fan down. Goodness. Ed, what a way to enter pit road, and saved by that yellow commitment line. By my count, that's 6 cars out of the lead pack with 75 circuits remaining.
That's what I love about this. You know, if you time it perfectly, it looks so cool when 190 miles an hour, 6 cars just crowd right in, and then once you cross that yellow line, the game does the rest of the work and you don't find any issues. but every Chevy and Toyota from that main group, including Tyler McDonald, who's probably their leader, Jonah Yohanan and others pitted. So let's see if the 5 Fords, every Ford except for Ike Shelley, is in this main group. We've got the McGinnis cars of Moore and Kuplot and the 3 HFR teammates of Goff, Smith, and Barron, and here they all come down pit road.
190 miles an hour down to 75. You can see the 4 of Riley Goff literally being shoved at 90 degrees down pit road, wedged alongside that 41 and then the 22. This is, oh my goodness. It's something, it's certainly something to see. An unbelievable way to come down pit road. Before we move on, OMA Network chiming in some minutes ago saying that the HFR cars were told to quote unquote chill out. So drivers being aggressive early on in this race, but it's the season opener, Ed. What more can you do?
Yeah, and all the HFR cars, to my knowledge, started outside the top 10, and they worked their way up to the front, so they were clearly making some moves. So probably they upset the wrong person, so let's see what happens with that. So the Ford car's coming up pit road. The second pack is catching them as well. Parker Ness is kind of separated from everyone else, so he's actually going to be catching these guys with a head of steam, and I believe the 88 might be able to take the lead here, but these guys are going to spread together, and Ben Smith blocks him up into the wall. These two had quite the rivalry in the Truck Series last season, and now Ben Smith puts Ness up into the wall and screws him out of potentially breaking up the Fords, and he'll have to go to the back of this line and be caught by that second hungry pack coming from behind.
Parker Ness in car 88 tucking in behind Riley Goff in the 4. Put another R next to that 88 Valvoline Camaro. Parker Ness is a rookie this year, making his VNS debut. Meanwhile, Riley Goff, who is the 2020 Rookie of the Year, he came 4th in last year's standings, and he opened the year with a 10th place finish in duel number 1. Ed, the outside line has momentum.
Oh yeah, here they come, and I told you, eventually it was going to pick up, and some people were going to start darting to the outside. I know some of them are diving down to the inside right now, but those Toyotas and Chevys are going to be hungry to try to break up this Ford top 5.
Single file back again, save for that 19 car floating to the outside. That Bass Pro Camry being piloted by Hector Garcia, another rookie this year, but he managed to come home 6th in his respective duel. Not a bad showing for the rookies so far. 28 laps down, 72 laps to go, and it's 22 laps to the halfway mark. A reminder, fans, top 5 get points when they break out the halfway interval, if you will. Top 5, all Fords right now, and we're looking at that 42 car that sits in 7th, being piloted by Talmadge. He's got Ryan Binnicker behind him, who's looking to make a move.
So one other thing to note here, 50 is when the caution comes out. Everybody should be good to make it on fuel, except potentially maybe Thomas Green in that first group that pitted on lap 24. They do have to go 26 laps if they push it too hard here, but everybody in this lead draft should be good. So expect things to pick up in these next 20 laps, because if you're any Chevy or Toyota there, especially with how Ford dominated the plate tracks last season, all 4 of them, other than Miniker winning the second Talladega race, the Fords got wins in each of the other 3. Yakavazi won Daytona 1, Joshua Franks won at Talladega, and then the pre-playoff race at Daytona was won by Kukulon. So the Toyotas and Chevys had a lot of bad luck at the plate tracks, and they certainly do not want to start off the season by giving up any possible points at halfway to the Blue Ovals. So expect Jarrett Talmadge, Ryan Miniker, and Tyler McDonald, the 3 veterans of the Toyotas and Chevys, to work together to try to get around this points.
30 laps complete, 31 laps now underway at the World Center of Racing. For those of you just joining us, I'm Rick James, joined by the esteemed Eddie Kalegi. We are 30 laps into the OMA season opener. Simco Racing says, what up, Rick? What up, Sim? Glad to have you here. Glad to have you to kick off this OMA season. Ed, taking a look at that 14 car right now. Unbroken Halo, a.k.a. Ben Smith. Another rookie. Ed, these rookies are really rolling off the tongue here. You said that half of his field is made up of rookies, but apparently these rookies don't have rookie skill at all. They are up in this top 10, really controlling this field.
Absolutely, and the Ford rookies are going to be ones to watch. Ben Smith is arguably the most hyped up rookie out of them all. And I got the chance to interview him yesterday, and he was telling me the importance of his crew chief, Joshua Franks, who raced in the VRC last season and was the only driver to finish in the top 5 in all 4 VRC plate race events, as Parker Ness gets blocked and he's going to end up sliding to the back of the pack. But meanwhile, Ben Smith, he's got someone with a lot of plate racing experience helping to key him in and helping to lead him on the way. So this is going to be very interesting. But Ben Smith, very talented driver. Now, something to note, you got to distinguish these two groups of rookies too, because there's some that raced in the VNS, which is the second series last season, including Tim Moore, Ike Shelley, Ashton Tackwell, and Hector Garcia, but then others who completely bypassed the VNS and are coming directly up from trucks, which is basically ARCA level if you were going to compare this to NASCAR. That's Ben Smith, Michael Barron, Parker Ness, and Gavin Hudspeth. So there's quite the distinction. So Ben Smith, the fact that he didn't even race in VNS before, and he's holding his own up there in 3rd place, super impressive, Red.
A lot of impressive rookies in this field, Ed. Go back to your rookie year in OMA, Ed. Was there a fear? And see if you can think so long ago. It seems like it's been such a while since you made your OMA debut. But what's the challenge for a rookie, regardless if you're Tim Moore or if you're Parker Ness? Depending on it shouldn't matter how long you've been in. Certainly, there's an air of not timidness, but certainly not going to the wall your first few laps.
Well, yeah, the first season I raced with these guys, and the first time I ever played NASCAR Heat, back then NASCAR Heat 2 online, was the first season of the VRC when, me and Tyler and a few others and Jarrett started playing together. So, I mean, it was the same boat for all of us. We really didn't know what to expect because none of us had really raced competitively on these games before, and it was really just for fun, but still, the first ever Daytona race, there were nerves because you wanted to get that win. You wanted to start things off on the right foot. And for all these rookies, they want to get this opportunity because it's something else to consider. You know, every plate race, you have your underdogs that gets the front. And I don't know which of these drivers might be in that boat, but there are certain people who are not going to be as competitive at, say, the mile and a halves that make up the majority of the schedule, or the road courses. We have quite a few of them this season, but this is the time for them to take advantage. But meanwhile, I want to take a look at Ben Smith right here. Let's see if Hoffman Family Racing bails on McGinnis Motorsports. They will. Ben Smith used the draft off of the 24 of Vinny Yakavazzi. They pull to the outside, and 1, 2, 3 goes HFR to clear the McGinnis cars. Ben Smith, Michael Barron, and Riley Goffin. Barron gets put below the apron, makes contact with Tim Moore. He's around, collects Tyler McDonald. We've got a big wreck in the corner. Logan Vera's in it, and I think that should bring out a caution. We'll see what they say.
41 goes around on the 35th lap of competition, and the rookie Michael Barron goes for a ride that leaves the underside of his car, Barron, and it looks like, Ed, the cars are slowing down. It is the first caution of the season, first caution of the race, and we'll get a chance. No, they're racing it back to the line, and my mistake. It looks like they took the line, but now the 12 car is going to be leading them in the race back to this line. It's Kukulon, your 2018-2019 VRC champion, with Tim Moore behind him, and it looks like that 42 just shot out to the wall, and Tallmadge lost control of his Chevrolet.
Riley Yakavazzi got into that 42. He's going to be fine. He'll be in front of this other pack coming from behind, but it's the one confusion. If the caution is not called until they make it to the start-finish line, or after that, they've got to race it all the way back around. And that's another thing these rookies, with the rules, they have to get used to. And we saw a couple of them sort of back off there. But that was a big wreck, and Michael Barron, it was a bold move by Hoffman Family Racing to make that work and get up into the top 3 spots. But Barron just couldn't clear his own teammate, Riley Goffin, ended up spinning around. But a nice job using... They didn't even use the lap car as a pick. They used him as an assist to get a draft. Ben Smith pulled up, perfectly executed, and then gets his teammates Barron and Goff behind, swap positions with the 2 McGinnis teammates.
The 12 car leads this race right now. Kukulon's going to bring him down pit road. Fans at home, we're going to take a short 30-second ad break to keep the pre-rolls off to give as much action as possible to our new viewers. Sit tight. You are watching the OMA season opener from Daytona. Fans, if you're hearing this, you are a subscriber to Rick James TV, and you get the privilege of commercial-free racing. So while we take this short break, sit back, relax, and spread the word. Become a subscriber to Rick James TV if you haven't already. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See a little bit of trickeration there coming down pit road. Ed, looks like the top 6, top 7 stayed out, but the majority of this field coming down pit road.
Yeah, they're all coming down. A lot of these drivers trying to get some fresh tires, because now you're in an interesting point here. 12 laps to go to halfway. You want to have fresh tires, but, you know, they don't count nearly as much as other tracks. But we actually got a driver that I just pulled in that just took the lead. Ben Smith, driver of the number 14 Hoffman Family Racing Ford. Ben, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
All right, well, Ben Smith, take us through that move right there. I know your teammate ended up wrecking there, but a nice move to get to the front. How did you orchestrate that with the 24 of Yakavazzi getting the draft and getting around the McGinnis cars?
Well, we saw the McGinnis cars were a solid 10 miles an hour off of the normal 200 miles per hour pace. Sebi, I believe, was in hardcore conservation mode trying to save gas, so we decided we weren't going to stand for it anymore. So Michael, Riley, and I all jumped to the outside and we pushed past them. Vinny being there was luck of the draw. We didn't say anything to him. And I do want to say I lost the track position because of a race control miscommunication. I was told there was a caution. There was no caution until after that lap. But so far, race going good. I think that move right there shows that teamwork is going pretty well so far. And we'll see how it goes for the rest of the race.
Yeah, a little confusion, a little bit of a rookie mistake there, but you guys are doing well. Ford's doing great so far. Ben, I'll head you back over to the Hoffman Family Racing Radio. We'll check back in with you later.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And 2x2, 11 rows deep. We're about to go back to green here, and this is going to be a fun restart, to say the least. We're going to complete 38 laps this time by. We're going to be 12 from the halfway mark. So you're looking at these leaders now, and what do you do now, Ed? Do you ride around till halfway, or do you really just want to fight for the lead at 50 laps here?
Well, we're coming to the green flag. I want to see what Riley Goff does here. He's got 3 Fords on the bottom. Will one of them let him in? Actually, this is going to be a little confusing. Goff's going to try to squeeze. He gets kind of cut off by Kupalon, but it's all going to organize. Now it's only 4 cars on the outside. They all tried to meld together, and Jarrett Talmadge is going to fade back, which is going to be even worse for Ware, because him, Ilhanen, Vera, and Miniker, I believe, all stayed out under that caution. So they're not only going to be behind most people, they're going to have weaker tires, but now more people jumping up to the outside. Drew Jua is one of them. He wants to get to the front. He's had so much bad luck in these plate races. Got off to a rough start. He slides back down to the bottom. It's now Ford 1, 2, 3, 4 with the number 19 Miscraft Motorsports Toyota of Hector Garcia rounding out the top 5.
Kupalon leading this race with the 4 of Goff right behind him. Goff, last year's rookie of the year, looking for his third OMA win this season. 11 laps to the halfway mark, 61 left in this race total. A couple of guys getting under the yellow line there, and you can see disorganization at the back. Drivers trying to hold it together, looking from this 9 of Gavin Hudspeth, the VRC rookie. A bit of a hornet's nest, as my great friend Pete would say. Ed, it's kind of unorganized back here. This can only lead to trouble.
Yeah, it can only lead to trouble, and it's not going to help you try to start making strides to catch up in the front. We see Gavin Hudspeth in the 9, Ashton Tackwell, another one of the rookies in the 95, losing that draft. Tyler McDonald also way in the back of the pack right now. He's currently running in the 15th position, make it 16th position. You'd expect him to be much higher up in the field after starting at the pole. Your front row sitters, that just shows how much movement we have. We've got Tyler McDonald now in 15th, Ike Shelley in 19th. It's really been a changeover where you've got drivers now like Michael Barron and Ben Smith. Ben Smith started this race in 18th position and is now making his continued strides, trying to get towards the front as these pack continues to go by, and after all that fiasco, Michael Beth plays him, and once again, it's Ford's 1, 2, 3, 5.
Blue Ovals have been dominating so far, but this race is still wide open, and we're going to start a poll here just before the halfway mark. Where will the winning pass be made? Ed, as a driver, if you find yourself in that second or third position, 2 to go, 1 to go, where is your preferred place to make that winning pass?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting here as we head through these next few laps. As you see Jarrett Talmadge, you know he's getting impatient. And here's the real frustrating part for Jarrett Talmadge and Team Drew. They have more cars than any other team in this race. They have 5 cars in this race. You've got Jua and Talmadge, the 2 full-timers, Yohanan, their part-timer, and then Paul Jackson and Logan Vera, who both got in via the duels. 3 of the 4 guys who got in via the duels raced for Team Drew. So Jarrett Talmadge is like, hey, the Fords have 5 guys up front. Where are my 4 teammates? He's got Jonah Yohanan behind him, who knows a good plate racer, and Hector Garcia in front. He needs Jua to get up there, and maybe Drew Jua and Tyler Mcdonald to work together like other plate tracks, but Jua just got moved up by Ryan Mineker and kind of got shoved up as Hector Garcia's trying to look below Michael Barron as we are on lap 43 of 100.
7.5 laps to go until the end here. Paul Jackson, one of the independent drivers this year. He won Duel 2 to get in. He's got 5 wins to his name. Almost a little bit of trouble getting out of sorts in turn number 2. And then we go to the number 1 car of Drew Jua, last year's VRC champion in that Monster Energy Camaro. He's got the tail end of this lead pack here. Anything is still wildly possible, so fans at home will put the question to you. Where will this winning pass be made? Turn 1, 2, 3, 4, or the front straight? There's your poll. 10 minutes to answer your question. Let your voice be heard, fans. Where will this winning pass be made? Turn 1, 2, 3, 4, or the front straight. 44 laps about to be completed, and you can see a couple of drivers starting to get out of sorts here. Ben Smith, our in-race reporter, another one of these rookies. He just peeked to the outside looking for some sort of help, and it is few and far between, and even with this high draft, 6 laps to go until the halfway point, it's going to take a specially timed run on the outside to make any passes successful.
I really think that all the Chevys and all the Toyotas, you just got to move to the outside. You got to organize one at a time. As Ben Smith with a little bit of a slip up, Barron gets on underneath him and lets off. Meanwhile, Logan Vera gets shoved off. He's going to have to try to fit back into this pack, and he funnels his way in. Never mind, there's a big crash in the back. Let's see if that brings out a caution. JT Sipes is in it. Logan Vera, the 96 of Kyle England, also involved. Caution is out, racing it back to the line, and that's going to likely set up a 2 or possibly even 1 lap dash coming up here for the halfway bonus. So chaos is about to happen here, Rick.
V8 car of JT Sipes currently beached in turn 3. That Chevrolet racing for the Dark Horse team, and no help in sight for car number 8. Riley Goff in the 4 brings it back down, and that's going to bring out the second yellow flag of the evening on lap 46 of 100. Fans at home, short 30-second ad to keep the pre-rolls off. Fans at home listening, you are a current subscriber to Rick James TV. Ed, let's see if we can get our friend Ben in here and see what Ben Smith thinks of that last exchange. Let's have a word here. So far, Ed, it's been quite the fun event, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really picked up over these last 10 laps. I told you eventually these guys were going to get aggressive. Let's see. It looks like they're going to close pit road here. So let's see what the decision is.
Well, they're lined up to go back to green here, Ed, so we may just have a quick restart. It's going to be 4 laps to go to the halfway mark, so we'll see how they choose to play this. No one's coming down, but everybody's really starting to get lined up. Looking back from the 4 of Goff, who's now pulling away, it looks like we're going to have, well, I can't tell, Ed. We're about to see what's happening here. Let's listen.
It looks like we've got a green flag. They're saying green this time, and here we go. I believe this is 3 laps to go before halfway. Let's see what happens here as the Fords try to get lined up. Ben Smith fits in front of Michael Barron. They orchestrate it as always, but now how many Chevys are going to stay on the outside and try to make a move? I mean, in this situation, if you're in the back, I don't see why you wouldn't try to make some moves on the outside, because, you know, there's not much to risk here. If you can get into the top 5 and get a few points, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. You still have a whole half of this race to go. But a lot of guys trying to line up on the outside, nothing much happening at the moment. But my question is, I know the two teams here, McGuinness and Hoffman, are working well together. When will Riley Goff try to match up with Ben Smith and Barron? When will HFR try to make one of those moves like they did before the first wreck and try to get around Kukulon and Moore, who have really controlled this race since early on?
They cross this line, and we'll see where these drivers end up with just 2 laps to go in this stage. Ed, looking from the 4 of Goff, they've gotten single file. Kukulon still leads. Tim Moore sits in 3rd.
Yeah, Tim Moore in 3rd place. He's getting aggressive on the back bumper of the number 4 Ford as cars dipping below. Drew Jua completely pancakes the outside wall. He got turned around, I think, by Ashton Tackwell. Ryan Miniker also involved, so a couple of big names out of this pack. A couple other guys like Paul Jackson and Joni Ilhanen lose the draft, but here comes the outside. 2 former 250 winners. Vinny Iacovazzi, Tyler McDonald on the outside. Will they be able to challenge the Fords as we come to 1 lap to go before halfway?
1 lap before the halfway mark. 12, 4, 22, 14, 41. 5 Fords at the front of this race, starting to pinball off each other. Drivers going below the yellow line. 3, 4 cars have spun around into 1. 5, 6 have been collected. It'll be a race back to this line for the halfway mark. 12, 4 out of turn number 2. Here's the 14. Look at Ben Smith trying to make a move on the outside. The rookie drafting with the 12. Here comes the 41 behind him. Ed, they are getting all over the place. They're entering 3 wide. Barron goes to the outside. Kukulon still leads. Goff is in 2nd. Take us home.
Riley Goff trying to look below Sebastian Kukulon. Barron squeezes Iacovazzi. Here comes Riley Goff to the bottom. Smith is in the wall. He's going to slide. Here they come to the line, really close at the line. I'm not sure who got it. I think it was Riley Goff. My goodness. And, you know, we're going to have to look at clips or whatever, because this isn't official. This is just lap 50 when they crossed the stripe. So we might have to go back and look at some clips post-race. But everybody seemed to crash. I don't know who caused that. I think the 96, the Kyle England, got sideways with Jarrett Talmadge and caused the big one. And we're getting confirmation. Sebastian Kukulon has won the halfway bonus for McGuinness Motorsports, followed by Riley Goff, Tim Moore, Vinny Iacovazzi, and Michael Barron getting points. So 4 of the 5 in the top 5 are Fords.
Fans at home, if you want to stay tuned during the commercials, all you need to do is link your Amazon account with your Twitch account, and you get Twitch Prime. With Twitch Prime, you get 1 subscription to the channel of your choice every month, so why not make that Rick James TV? Link your Amazon, link your Twitch, get Twitch Prime, and never deal with another pesky ad again. The 12 of Kukulon leads. Goff is in 2nd. We saw the 24 of Vinny Iacovazzi take a spill. And Ed, I am confident that everybody's going to come down for 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, we're going to try to get in 2 drivers here during this little exchange, because this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy caution to make up for the one where we really just rushed to get this restart going. We're going to have Tyler McDonald, the pole sitter, who fell back early on, and we'll try to get a word from him. So let's get Tyler McDonald up in here, and then we'll try to get Ben Smith in here briefly for an update as well. But let's get Tyler McDonald up in the broadcast booth. Looks like Tyler's here. Tyler McDonald, it's Eddie in the booth. You got a copy?
I do. What's up?
All right, so first question, it was about lap 12. You and Jonah Ilhanen were up front. What happened? Because I saw both you guys fall back, and the Fords have really controlled the race ever since.
So that was by decision. We wanted to fall back, and I was actually trying to save a lap or 2 of fuel so that I could make it to halfway, because I hadn't been in traffic yet. And so I dropped back, and I wonder if Jonah had the same idea. And it's been going downhill ever since.
So the Toyotas and Chevys, there's a lot of you. There's only 6 Fords in this race. How can you guys all work together here to ultimately win this race?
Man, basically do what we just about did there at the end, and hopefully not get blocked by a Hoffman car again, and get wrecked again. So, because Vinny and I had a really good run there on the outside lane. We could have gotten to the top 5, and and we were still working that outside lane pretty good. So it is possible to do. I don't know, man. We're just gonna have to hopefully break them up. I see Drew is in second right now. Vinny's up here in sixth, and JT's up here in eighth, and I'm in ninth. So there's a little bit of differentiation now. Hopefully we can figure out some way to break the lineup of Fords.
Well, if anybody can break up the Fords, it's certainly you with all you've done, and you're a former Daytona 250 winner. Tyler, best of luck in the last 50 laps.
All right, thank you.
All right, Tyler's back over to Miscraft Motorsports. We'll get Ben in during the next caution. I expect we'll have a couple more before this race is through. But the big story, Rick, here is Drew Jua on the outside. He's really frustrated. He has not gotten much racing up front at all. Now he stays out. And Drew Jua last season, if we flash back a little bit to the Daytona 250 last year, he was able to hang with the Fords at the very end. In fact, he was involved in the photo finish with 4 other Fords. He was on his own. All the other Chevys and Toyotas had wrecked, and he almost stole the win away from the whole Ford organization. So if Jua and Mcdonald can get to the front, these are the 2 most talented drivers in the field, in my opinion. I don't really think you could argue otherwise, but the question is, can they get enough Toyotas and Chevys with them to try to beat out these Fords?
Coming back to this line, about to start the second half of the season opener at Daytona. On the front row, you have the 12. Sorry about that. You've got the 12. You've got the 22 right behind them. We're going back to green, Ed. It's a Ford lock into the front row. Look at Jua go to the front. 1 car leads.
Jua got a nice jump right there, and they're already wrecking a little off the restart. Somebody just spun out. Looks like everybody else is going to gather it up. Gavin Hudspeth, Hector Garcia, and a couple others go for a slide. But the focus right now is on that number 1 of Drew Jua, who is currently leading the Fords. Now, how quickly can they shuffle them out? Something else interesting, Vinny Iacovazzi just got a penalty, well, not a penalty, a aggressive driving warning, his second of the race. 1 more, he will be sent for a pass-through penalty. So Chevy really can't afford that. He is in 5th place right now, trying to maybe get up there to Jua. But Drew Jua in front, he is the first Chevy to lead a lap in this race. Tyler McDonald led the first 11. A collection of Fords have led ever since.
As they cross this line, 51 laps complete, and the fans have spoken with 53% of the vote. They say the winning pass will be made out of turn number 2. Ed, it's been a popular spot. We've seen it happen before. Personally, I like a driver's chance going into turn 3 with this high draft.
So I'm going to just think about the last few 250s the last couple seasons when Aiden Savitsky won. He had leads on 2-lap dashes and won both and held off the field. Last season, Vinny Iacovazzi made the pass in the trial, but literally about 100 feet from the start-finish line to get around Sebastian Kukulon. So you never know. We have not seen a pass in turn 2 before for the win at Daytona in this Great American Virtual Race, but you never know. And look at the outside line starting to build up some steam. That's Gavin Hudspeth and Paul Jackson. What a run the 2-car tandem has as the Fords kind of got separated. They are all the way up to 3rd place. Iacovazzi trying to make something happen with Tim Moore. But how about this? Reinforcements coming here for Drew Jua.
Here comes the 9 car of Gavin Hudspeth to the outside. He's got the 13 right behind him. These 2 combining for a great pass around the outside. Hudspeth, the rookie, now almost trying to clear Jua. Here he comes to the inside line, but he's run out of steam. Jua on the inside with help from Kukulon down the short chute. The 13 of Paul Jackson, the independent driver, he just falls well off that pace, and he's scooting well far back, and that's going to be the end of Hudspeth's run on the outside. Jua to the inside, Hudspeth to the outside, Kukulon pushing behind. 55 laps underway, and the 9 car tucks in behind the 1, Ed. For the first time today, we've got 2 Chevrolets at the front of this race.
Hey, well, kudos to Paul Jackson right there. First of all, he's the owner of that number 9 car in Thunderbolt Racing. He saw something in Gavin Hudspeth and decided to sign him for VRC this season to replace himself, by the way. And the 2 of them work together, and I know Paul Jackson's going to fall back. He probably saw that coming. This is an overall win here for Chevy. Now it's not Jua alone. He's got another Chevy behind him before the Fords 3rd through 7th. So a big-time move right there from Paul Jackson and Gavin Hudspeth. And that gave me, Rick, visions of NASCAR around 2010, 2011 at the plate tracks, when you'd see these 2-car tandems that could get these major runs, and then eventually the momentum stops, they split up, and one of them, or maybe both of them, fall like a rock. Hudspeth was in the perfect spot, and they got the perfect draft from the high draft setting to pull up from about 10th place all the way to 2nd and 3rd. Jackson has fallen back into the line in 8th place, but now Jua's got a buddy in Gavin Hudspeth right behind.
Single file, 15 cars deep, and we've got those two Chevrolets at the front, Jua and Hudspeth, 1-2, but now you have 6 Fords behind them, and then the 74 of Tyler McDonald, your 2018 champion and today's pole sitter, who are waiting to overtake them. Ed, why don't those 6 Fords just make a move to the outside and run a train around the Chevrolets?
Honestly, there's 2 reasons. First of all, maybe a lack of confidence that that's going to work, because we've seen the inside as the preferred line, and even if you have a bunch of people, one lag spike could completely destroy Ford's race and put them all in the back of the field. And second of all, still time to go. We're still 44 laps away. I don't think there's a necessity to make this move just yet. They know Gavin Hudspeth has a lot of inexperience here. You see him weaving the car around. I think they're confident they can get around him, and then suddenly they'll be back in a position where Jua's the Lone Ranger, and I don't care how good of a driver you are. We know Jua's a great driver. 1 against 5 really never works, unless it's LeBron James against 5 10-year-olds on a basketball court.
And even then, he still would need some help, you would imagine. And there's a wreck out of turn number 1, Ed. 4 cars involved. They should race this one back to the line. There's Yakovazzi involved again. Second time tonight that car 24 has gone for a spill. Kukulon now making a move to the outside, Ed. He's got the 41 of Barron right behind him. Contact, 3 wide. Barron losing control of the car. Moore gets into Barron. Barron gets back into Moore. Here's the 4 of Goff on the outside trying to hold it together. 2 and 3 wide out of the 4th corner. Drew Jua leads. He's got Hudspeth behind him, and the 12 of Kukulon falling off the pace. More cars getting into the wall as they race it back to the line. It's Drew Jua in 1st, Gavin Hudspeth in 2nd, and the 41 of Michael Barron in 3rd, and that should undoubtedly bring out the yellow 3rd time today in this race.
So that was a little painful there for Ford, because Kukulon, who's been probably their most consistent car, just lost some spots. Ben Smith actually spun out. I believe he fell back to about 13th, but guess what? Reinforcements just came. Ike Shelley, who started 2nd and completely faded into oblivion, while the rookie is now suddenly back in 6th place. So there are 5 Fords lined up 3rd through 7th. Now, I did not catch exactly what happened in that wreck. A couple cars got together. Vinny Yakovazzi has had a rough race in his first one as a part of Thunderbolt Racing. We see Ike Shelley taking the chicane right now. I don't know what's going on under caution. But regardless, let's see what Vinny Yakovazzi, because he did pit before the caution when pit road opens, so he might get a penalty here, which would be bad enough if he already has aggressive driving warnings. This is not a good race for Vinny Yakovazzi. And let's see, he's coming off of pit road now. He's going to have to restart at the rear right here.
We're going to take a short 30-second break to keep the pre-rolls off. For new viewers, fans, sit tight. And everyone's going to be coming down pit road here. Let's see if we can get a word in edgewise with driver number 14, the rookie Ben Smith. He's been doing okay to have that R next to his name so far, but with so many rookies in this field, it's almost like being a rookie is just not even normal anymore. Ben, welcome to the booth one more time, my friend. Sorry to interrupt you there. How's the race going in that 14 car?
I got some weight on my shoulders right now.
All right, Ben.
Ben, you got us, pal?
Yeah, we're getting screwed by all the Chevys and the Toyotas because the Fords want to work with them instead of us.
Sorry to hear that, Ben. How's your car working out so far?
Car's working good, Rick. It's just a situation of teamwork. The Fords have worked with some of the Chevys so far, which has been a little unexpected here and there. The last caution was pretty unfortunate on my part. Went from being top 7 or 8 to falling back to 13th, but it's all right. We're fighters. We'll make our way back through this field.
It'll be less than 40 laps to go when you take the green. How is that outside line looking? It hasn't been used a lot today.
What I've been trying to do for the most part is try and get with my teammates, but that outside lane at this point in the race does look kind of nice. I think it's this part of the race now, I bet, is labeled as go time. I think that this is where everyone starts to get crazy. Strap in.
It's going to be crazy indeed, Ben. Good luck with the rest of the race, pal.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Ben Smith back off to Hoppin Family Racing now. We had an interesting development here on pit road because Toyotas are now 1, 2, 3. Tyler McDonald is back to the lead for the first time since lap 11, pulled a little strategy, And how about a real youth versus experience situation here? Tyler McDonald, he's raced every Daytona 250. He's won basically anything you can count. And then you've got Kyle England, who is a bit of the Cinderella story making the field. Anytime, like in real life in the Daytona 500, there's always that one car, there's always that Timmy Hill that you're excited about making the 250. Well, that's Kyle England, youngest driver in the field, 13 years old, restarting second. He's had a decent race so far, hanging around the middle of the pack, around 10th or 15th, and now he's got two Toyotas here, and our Toyota can try to steal this race from both Ford and Chevy. This is going to be a very interesting restart. Rick, take it away.
England to the outside, McDonald to the inside. It's a Camry lockout of row number 1, and we are going back to green. England leads the field to the line ahead of McDonald, and we're racing once again at 40 laps to go, and the 95 has gone around. That's Ashton Tackwell, part of Garcia Tall Madge Racing. He finished 13th in duel number 1, and the rookie has gone for his first spill. Meanwhile, his teammates are running away.
Ashton Tackwell has had a brutal race so far and really a brutal speed weeks, but the focus is on his Toyota counterparts who are now 1, 2, 3. And how about this? Kyle England is currently leading the Daytona 250 in an independent number 96 Toyota Racing Development Toyota. So he's raced a couple seasons before. This is a new team. He spent his entire career with Godin Motorsports, owned by MJ Cerullo, and now he moves over to Miscraft Motorsports, getting to drive for the champ in the VNS. Had a solid run, got a top 10 last night in VNS, and now leading the Great American Virtual Race with one of the best behind him. And in third place, don't underestimate Ryan Miniker. He's a curious decision too, because he opted to leave Thunderbolt Racing after making the playoffs and winning a race with them last season, and heads to Miscraft Motorsports to fill the void of Caleb McNeil instead. So Ryan Miniker now with Miscraft Motorsports. This is a nice little group up here, and now the Fords are separated. You've got Barron and Riley Gopp in 4th and 5th, then Jua, then you get to the 3 teammates who are now scattered everywhere. Kukulon lost some ground, so it's going to be difficult for these Fords now to get back together here with 38 laps to go.
37 next time by, 96, 74, 20. Those 3 Camrys being piloted by England, McDonald, and Miniker respectively, and you said it, Ed, then they've got the Fords behind them. Ben Smith in the 14 car during that caution interview said it's go time now, but there's still 30 some laps to go. You can bet your bottom dollar we're going to have a couple more cautions. If anything, Ed, drivers now need to start getting set up with their teammates. You said that the Fords got separated, and at this stage, it'll take an odd 6 or 7 laps to get back together.
Yeah, it's not just a little bit of separation. Kukulon is losing ground. Ike Shelley is now in the wall, by the way, so he's losing ground. He's falling to the back of this pack, so that's tough for Ford. Shelley has had a rough race. Both Shelley and Tackwell, who, by the way, finished 1st and 2nd in VNS last season, not having a good adjustment in their first VRC stints right here in the 250. Both of them have really struggled today and not spent much time in front, and they are currently 20th and 21st. Tim Moore is now trying to make his way back up to the front. I believe he's in 8th position, and Sebastian Kukulon is in 10th, so McGinnis has really faded back. Ben Smith also trying to catch up. He's right behind Kukulon in 11th place, so everybody is really scattered. This is the first time today where we haven't seen manufacturer alliances, and Rick, just picking your brain here on an opinion, as we get deeper into the race, do you think we're going to see these manufacturer ties kind of break up, and we'll see every man for himself as we get down to the latter stages?
Out the window with 10 to go, Ed. Every single plate race, it's out the window with 10 to go. Man, we're talking about the season opener at Daytona. 250 miles to put your flag in the beach and say, this is my year. And right now, Ed, the rookie, Kyle England, I'm sorry, not the rookie, the independent Kyle England is running away with this race. Granted, he's got Toyota support behind him, but with 10 to go, even your own teammates would turn on you for a win at the World Center of Racing.
Kyle England, I mean, this is quite the story. He's got more than 30 starts, somewhere around 40 in his career in this league. He's never gone to victory lane in any capacity, and now he's leading this race. He's a talented driver. He's very underrated. Hopefully he's silencing those critics tonight, racing for Miscraft Motorsports with Tyler McDonald and holding him off and holding his own on the inside, hoping, you know, we're coming up to the 10-year anniversary of Trevor Bayne's Cinderella story in the real-life Daytona 500. Kyle England trying to channel his inner Disney of Cinderella, currently in front here with 34 laps to go.
34 laps to go, and you take me back to that famous line by Darrell Waltrip, "Happy birthday, Trevor Bayne, 20 years old." I think to this day, still the youngest winner of the Great American Race. What a story. And Ed, you want to talk about IRL stories of the Daytona 500? Derek Cope will be making an attempt for this year's race.
I'm pumped about that. You know what I'm even more pumped about, Rick? That he's locked into the field via Rick Ware Racing Charter. How about that? You've got these really talented cars like Manoa Gregson. They've got to work their way in through the duels, and you've got Derek Cope on the other hand. He's already locked and loaded, ready to go for the Daytona 500. So that's going to make the duels super exciting, just like they were here in the OMA. And that's what set up someone like Kyle England getting into the field, and now he's making the most of this opportunity, leading the way. He has now led 7 laps since the restart, since he got around Tyler McDonald. There's been 3 cautions in this race, 1 for halfway, 2 for crashes, and Kyle England is currently in front.
Kyle England leading this race, and for those that don't know, Derek Cope is your 1990 winner of the Daytona 500, as you see Paul Jackson squeezing the 8 of JT Sipes into the wall. It would not be the first time that car number 8 has found himself in some action in this race. 69 laps into this event, Ed. It's been a nice contest so far, but it's going to be a bit nicer when we get to that end, and I say that with all the sensitivity in the world, because nice is the last thing these drivers are going to be to each other. And right now, you can even see that even though they're single file, you see the 12, you see the 00, that looks like the 42 of tall match. Drivers are peeking to the outside, searching for that outside move.
Yeah, and you're talking about the enhancement of anticipation and excitement right now. Well, how about the aggression too? Ethan Hoffman just gave a warning to his own driver in race control, Ben Smith, for forcing Jarrett Talmadge below the yellow line. Talmadge has been frustrated so far with how the Fords have been racing him as he's continuing to fade back into the pack, and Ben Smith has received a warning here as we are at 31 laps to go. And I think if I'm doing my math correctly, now, I don't know exactly what Toyota did. I think they topped off on fuel there, so everybody should be able to make it on one stop from here. The only exception is potentially those 3 Toyotas maybe having to go 2 if they didn't get enough fuel during that stop, but I think they got enough. So I really think we might be going to a 1 more pit stop in about 10 laps or so, as Kyle England has led the race for the last 10 laps, has now almost approached Tim Moore as one of the highest lap leaders in this race. We've seen Moore, Kukulon, Goff, Jua, Hudspeth, McDonald, and now Kyle England. 7 different leaders in this race, and now it's Kyle England continuing to lead with 30 laps to go.
3-0 to go, 2-9 at the line, 96, 74, 2-0, your top 3. The 41 of Michael Barron is 4th, and Goff rounds out that top 5. Ed, they've got to be waiting until this next round of pit stops, and to quote Ben Smith one more time, it's going to be go time after that. For now, you can see the factions starting to form. A couple of Chevrolets getting together on the outside. These 3 Toyotas nose to tail on the inside line right now. I think we saw a couple of cars coming down pit road, maybe some takers, and this could be the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to scan through the field. Hector Garcia got really shuffled up. I think that was lag from either the 88 of Parker Ness or the number 99 of Ike Shelley. But being on the topic of pit stops, we know that is going to be coming very soon. And this is where things could kind of split up, because you've got Chevys, you've got Toyotas, you've got Fords. We saw how the manufacturers all pitted together. Now, could that potentially change here? Will the Fords that are up front in Barron and Gopp follow those 3 Toyotas, or will they try to get back together and make an allegiance with those other Fords in Moore and Smith and Kukulon? Lots of decisions to be made here with 28 laps to go in the Daytona 250.
You just saw the 95 of Ashton Tackwell all by himself. That car is a rookie with a 13th place finish in this year's duels. We passed the 22 of Tim Moore, and now riding along with car 41, Michael Barron, who finished 8th in his duel. Now looking to the inside of the 20 and to the inside of Miniker. He's going to take Golf with him. Miniker tries to close the door, and it's too little, too late. 41-4 get past car number 20, and they are now 4th and 5th, 3rd and 4th, respectively, in this competition right before pit stops. Ed, that's how the 41 has been doing it all race long. If there's a window, he's going to go through it one car at a time.
And that's how Ford did it last year in all 4 plate races. If they got put back in the field, they'd just get around one car at a time so they could split up all the teammates. And listen, they just saw it worked well with Miniker, who's someone who's usually immovable at these plate tracks. Last season at Talladega in the plate race, he blocked basically the field to make something happen. As there's a wreck in the back, Jared Talmadge just got turned. Not sure who got into him. We'll see if that brings out a caution. I don't know how many cars were actually involved in that. I think Parker Ness might have gotten into the back of Jared Talmadge. Caution flag is out. They'll race it back to the line, and there will be a yellow flag with 26 laps to go, which is right on the fuel window, so likely people will be just able to squeak out making it on gas if they pit right here.
It looked like it was the 96 to the line, the 41 behind him, and possibly the 74, our pole sitter, Mcdonald, getting to that line. Yellow flag is out, and fans at home, we're going to run a 60-second ad break to make sure that we're going to do our best to keep the pre-rolls off to the end. Sit tight. Those of you who have subscribed to Rick James TV, you won't miss a thing. Ed, let's see if we can get a word in with one of our in-race reporters right now. I'm looking at the 20 of Tyler Miniker, but I'm interested to see how the 14 car has been developing since that last yellow.
Yeah, let me try to get Ben Smith in first, and then I might even try to get our leader, Kyle England, in as well. Let's see if I can just get these guys and get them in. Just give me 1 second. They're in the middle. We'll get them once they come down to pit road because they're probably talking over strategy right now, but this is going to be interesting. Everybody's going to likely be coming down pit road right here. There's a lot of confusion about what Vinny Iacovazzi was doing because he basically let the field go by, went a lap down, and now he's got to go bet the lap back. So let's see what happens. But first, let's try to bring Ben Smith into this.
Ben, welcome
Yo,
into
Ben.
the booth. Go ahead, Ed, my bad.
Yo, Ben Smith, we got you back in here. You kind of got separated from your 2 teammates. Final pit stop potentially here, 25 laps to go. What you got for this last quarter of the race?
Well, I got to give it all I got. I was able to get a couple spots from my 14 from earlier. Separated a little bit from my Hoffman guys, but I still have Sevi and Tim around me. A couple Fords that we can work with and hopefully get back to the front. It's going to be a battle, and I'm here for it, man.
All right, Ben, best of luck. We'll head you back over to your voice chat.
Thank you, man.
All right, let me try to get Kyle England here just for a moment. Let's see if we can get him in. Yo, Kyle England, it's Eddie up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Kyle England, you didn't even know you were going to be in this race. You raced your way in, and now I've gotten a chance to lead some laps in the VRC. Talk about this experience and your chances heading into the rest of the race.
I mean, it's just surreal. I really can't believe that I even made the race, let alone was in the lead for a decent portion of it. But moving forward, we just got to work with our Toyota teammates at Miscraft, and that's the goal. We just got to hopefully get one of us to victory lane. Be nice if it was me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Kyle England, best of luck.
Thanks.
All right, let's get Kyle England back into his voice chat so he can get ready to go. Really cool to hear from him, such a young kid, and having the time of his life up here, getting to lead some laps, and having a chance to put his name as a Daytona 250 winner. What an experience for him, Rick.
What an experience. Let's get back through. I think I'm going the wrong way through this field here, trying to scroll back to our leader. There's our leader, the number 4, S.W. Goff, also known as Riley Goff. Once again, last year's Rookie of the Year. 4th place in the standings. And while we go back to green, I want to dedicate this restart to our newest subscriber, Krabby Soup, who subscribed and with 100 bits in the chat. Crabman, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. This restart is for you.
24 laps to go. Look at the work right there to try to get these Fords back together, and suddenly Ford is in great position. I don't really know how this happened under this caution. I think a lot of them took 2 tires, and the earlier gamble by England and Mcdonald and Miniker, now they had to take 4 tires and give up the track position. But look at this. The Fords are now 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 8. 6 Fords in the top 8. Now Ike Shelley gets booted again by one of his teammates, I think. Either Paul Jackson or Tim Moore got into the back of him right there. But now Shelley's going to get shuffled out. Now he gets squeezed up into the wall by the number 13 of Paul Jackson. It's been a very rough race so far for Shelley. But meanwhile, Barron leading. Goff nearly blocks Jua down near pit road. Jua's got to fit his way back in. The Fords are bodying him everywhere here with 23 laps to go, Rick.
Double deuce next time across the line. You just saw the 13 tuck in front of Hector Garcia. Right now, car 41 of Michael Barron leading this race. Goff sits in second, Jua in third. 4th held by Smith, and then Timmy Moore rounding out that top 5 with a gang of Fords behind him. As Ben Smith said earlier, Ed, it is go time. Big shout out to my man Worm Rider in the chat. What up, Worm? Ed, it's going to be 22 next time by. It's right on the cusp of your fuel window, so assuming we're going to have one more yellow, we should being the operative word, be good to the end. Do you ride around until those last few laps, or do you start to make that move now just to test your opponents?
You're a Chevy back there. You need to get up there and try to help Drew Jua. He cannot do this all himself. Thomas Green, Jonah Yohanan, you guys are good plate racers. You need to get up there and give that number 1 some help with that whole heaping of Fords and then some Toyotas behind. But a tough break, by the way, for Toyota just a lap ago. Tyler McDonald got squeezed into the wall by the number 9, the rookie Gavin Hudspeth. He has fallen all the way back to 20th place and has now lost the draft as Ryan Miniker goes up and goes off the apron. They all stack up. Miniker's in the wall. He's got to try to gather it up. Paul Jackson's got to check up. There comes Hudspeth and Yakavazi. They'll all save it. Good job right there by the number 20. But now Kyle England, who had relied on his teammates, and just told us that a couple minutes ago, now all of a sudden, he's all by himself, Rick.
England all by himself like an island in the North Atlantic. How will he recover? 41-4, your top 2 out of 2, but now Jua in the 1, putting the pressure to Goff in the 4. The lovely administrators at OMA Network reminding us that Goff received a warning for forcing Drew Jua under that line, Ed. So that 4 has to mind his P's and Q's in these final 20 laps. 2-0 to go at the line.
And I think, one more warning and he could face a pass-through. Now the 4 almost forced the 1 below again. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, Ike Shelley also spun in the back. So I believe there are 3 cars, definitely, make it 4 that have dropped off of this lead draft. Tackwell, McDonald, Miniker, and Shelley have all lost the draft. Only 2 Toyotas left in this lead pack. They are 3 wide, bouncing off the wall behind. Ben Smith makes contact with Jonah Yohanan. They're still trying to gather it up. I am shocked that this pack has not completely come apart yet for a big one here off of this restart. There is so much jostling and side-by-side racing in the second half of the pack, while Drew Jua gets completely slammed and mauled by every Ford around him. He's got 2 in front, 2 in the back, completely surrounded, and needs some help from some Chevys very soon.
2 by 2, and they're fanned out all over this racetrack, losing control and checking up on each other. It started 1 lap ago with the 13 of Paul Jackson, who bounced off of that yellow line and created a bottleneck out of turn number 2. Back with Jared Goff in second place, as Rock NASCAR 388 says, going to start to get intense now, folks. And then Robert Harding tells Paul Jackson to go away, and now you see that 3 car of Thomas Green now under that yellow line, trying to work his way back up without causing a wreck. Ed, 83 laps underway when they get to this line, and the Heat, in the blink of an eye, as soon as Paul Jackson came up off that yellow line, it seemed like all of these drivers have been put on edge, and Jackson's gone around. V8's gone with him. 3, 4 cars involved. They crossed the line, but have they called that yellow flag with the 4 of Goff? And no yellow yet. We stay green, and they'll race it back to the line.
No yellow. They're saying 2 cars. The 8 and the 13 also looks like a potential penalty there for Sipes. So it looks like he might get sent for a pass-through, which will put his day at bad to worse. A lot just happened. We've got another wreck. Jared Talmadge got spun around by Vinny Iacovazzi. It is all coming apart here. This is the smallest the front pack, I'd argue, has been all day. Still a pretty sizable pack of 12 cars, but it's really dwindling down one by one. And oh, by the way, Rick, that is Riley Goff in second, not Jared Goff. I knew you were going to make the mistake eventually. This isn't the Los Angeles Rams. This is the Virtual Racing Championship Daytona 250, and Riley Goff currently handling Drew Jua, unlike what Jared Goff failed to do against Tom Brady in that Super Bowl 2 years ago.
41, 4, and 1 coming out of turn number 2. 2 Fords and a Chevrolet. Ed, as soon as we said the heat turned up, the curse of the commentator kicked in. 3 cars go around in a span of less than 1 lap. Now look at them weave left and right, almost like they're trying to run the option on a football field, going east and west and trying to find a way north. 1 bounces off the yellow line. Jua behind that 4 car of Riley. Jared Goff out of 4. There goes the 41 trying to find a way out of 4. Almost losing control, Michael Barron in that Haas Mustang. Another lap ticks down. 16 laps to go, Ed, and now they have really started to get on each other's nerves.
And Rick, a huge run's going to come on the backstretch here from someone like Tim Moore and Sebastian Kukulon. Let's see how aggressive they get. Parker Ness's up into the wall. Will this bring out a caution? We've got cars slamming off the wall. I think they'll all save it, though. We'll see what they call it. I don't think there's going to be a yellow, as meanwhile, Tim Moore and Kukulon, I told you they were going to try something. They did. They accelerate to the lead. Barron to 3rd, Goff to 4th, Jua getting shuffled out. Now it's the 19 of Hector Garcia up on the outside, leading that outside line. They'll all go to the inside, and now it looks like 40 laps to go all over again as Fords run 1, 2, 3, 4.
1-5 at the line. 2-2, 1-2, 4-1, your top 3. Moore, Kukulon, Barron now into that first corner. 2 rookies, the 22 and the 41 respectively. Right now, the bread on that Sebastian Kukulon sandwich, and the Fords have got their mojo back. Meanwhile, Jua goes to the outside and looks for a move, Ed, but he's got no help.
Hector Garcia, Johnny Elhanan, though, Gavin Hudspeth, Thomas Green, they've all been aggressive. England wants to win this. Drew Jua finally has the help right behind him that he has not really had all race. He's had to do a lot of things himself. He's got people, he's got resources, but can they get the momentum? It's 4 Fords, it's not 2 anymore, as Moore and Kukulon were able to springboard the top 3 a lap and a half ago. But now we have 14 laps remaining. We'll see if we go green till the end. This pack is getting smaller. I believe by my count right there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 13 in the lead draft. It's caboosed by Logan Vera in the 00 independent Chevrolet affiliated with Team Drew. And speaking of Drew, there he is in 5th place, Jua. He's got Hector Garcia, Jonah Yulhanen, and Kyle England behind. Chevys and Toyotas aplenty, wanting to catch those top 4 Fords.
Those top 4 Mustangs starting to break away, but the one of Jua looking for a little bit of respite, a little bit of help. No teammates around, but he's got Hector Garcia behind him, who's now trying to make a move to the outside. Jua now looks to the outside of Goff with 13 laps remaining in the season opener. Moore, Kukulon, 1-2. Barron holds on to 3rd, and Goff steadfast in position number 4 in car number 4. Now 5 cars to the outside, Ed. They're going to get a run out of 2.
Let's see how much they can sag draft, because I know in heat games that hasn't really worked, but with high draft on, it is possible. And these 4 Fords, if they start checking each other up, if these guys could be really smooth on the outside, but now they're all going to abandon Drew Jua, but now Garcia comes back up to the outside. They've got momentum. They're heading towards Mike Barron. Big checkup from the Fords, at least the 2 Hoffman cars. They're all separated. This is a perfect time for them to capitalize, but they just cannot get formed up, Rick, and Drew Jua is going to drift back to 5th place.
A dozen. Just 12 laps remaining. Lucky number 13 becomes that square dozen and car dozen. Bid Skydiver, aka Sebastian Kukulon, now sitting in second with a good gap to third and a good gap to the lead. Expect the 12 to suck right up to that 22 car and the 41 to go with the 12. These Fords have a plan, but they are sitting ducks, Ed, if they cannot get nose to tail in time. Those 4 cars, those 5 cars at the back, headed by the 1 of Jua and the 19 of Garcia, we're on to something. Also, take a look. Car number 96, Kyle England, the darling of these 250 miles, is back there lurking. Now Jua goes to the outside of Goff, and he may have the position. Goff to the inside. Jua's gone around in 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved. There goes Yakabazzi. There goes the 00, the 3 car of Greensman involved again. They're going to race this back to the line, back to the front of this one. Here is Kukulon behind the 22 of Moore. Ed, the 19 of Garcia gets into third, and we're going to be set up with a restart with less than 10 to go.
Big one strikes, and now how about Hector Garcia up in third place? Can he hold off the Hoffman cars? That would be huge if he can separate them and make this restart really awkward. He even gets even better than that, because now Riley Goff is going to lose some time. Barron's trying to get below, but he can't pass below the yellow. It's going to be Moore first, Kukulon second, Garcia third, and I believe Gavin Hudspeth at fourth. So there's a lot of debate about what just happened, if Drew Jewett just intentionally wrecked Riley Goff. We know Riley Goff had been cutting him off just a little bit, but guess what? Drew Jewett got the worst for wear right there. Goff is still hanging on in P6. Drew Jewett causes a big-time crash that involves Ben Smith, the 24 Yakavazi, Logan Vera, among others. Jonah Yohanan was involved. I believe Jarrett Talmadge got a piece. Tyler McDonald might have gotten a piece of that. Ike Shelley, Thomas Green, almost half the field. Biggest wreck of the race. And now we're going to have a late restart as we have only 10 laps remaining, 25 miles to go of the 250 tonight in the Great American Virtual Race.
Fans at home are running a short 30-second ad to keep these pre-rolls off for quite a while, all the way to the end. We're going to see if we can get a word in with one of our in-race reporters. Ed, let's see if we can get a word with Kyle England in the 96.
At 4, let's try to get him in here. Let's just wait till they cycle through. If anybody pits, let not interrupt any of the communication right there with his team, but let's just watch everybody making their way down. So a lot of the Chevys just opted to pit that were in the back involved in the wreck. Drew Jua, among them Tackwell, Sipes, Jackson, Green, all heading down pit road. Let's get Kyle England back up in the broadcast booth.
Fans at home, we appreciate your patience while we run these 30-second ads to keep the pre-rolls off for new viewers. Kyle England, welcome to the booth, pal. It's going to be less than 10 to go to the end of this race. What's your strategy? Kyle, you got us, pal?
Me? What?
Yeah, Kyle, what's your strategy?
Yeah, Kyle England.
Yeah, I got you.
What's your strategy for the end of the race, pal?
Push. I don't even know. Try and get to the front.
Short, sweet, and to the point, Ed.
Yeah, Kyle England, 7th place. Yeah, absolutely. Get to the front and push. That's the 2 goals. Let's head him back over to his voice chat. These guys got to focus in now. Big time restart coming up. And let's just take a quick look at this top 10 and how this is all going to be orchestrated. So Tim Moore is the leader, his first career VRC start. He's raced a bunch with all these people, but it's his first time actually in a VRC race. Sebastian Kukulon is on the outside, his McGinnis Motorsports teammate in second. Ford has won the last 3 Daytona 250s, trying to make it 4 in a row. Gavin Hudspeth is third. He's another rookie, as is 4th place Hector Garcia, as is 5th place Michael Barron. We have 4 rookies in the top 5. Kukulon, the one lone vet up there. Riley Goff is a Ford in 6th. Then Kyle England is currently in 7th place. Quick look at Tyler McDonald. He is in 11th. Drew Jua is towards the back. They've got some work to do. Big time restart at the line. 8 laps to go. Here we go.
Green flag in the air. 8 laps to go. Fans who have just joined us, what a time to get in. I'm Rick James, joined by the famous Eddie Kalegi, and we are going to bring you these final laps at Daytona. Ed, they weave and they wobble, but they will not fall down trying to get up to speed. 22-12, and then the 9 of Hudspeth sits in third.
Now, I think what's interesting, this is the first time Kyle England did not let Hector Garcia in. He just let him fall. So, like you said, under 10 to go. You called it, Rick. Team orders, they're completely out the window. It's every man for himself here as we come to 7 to go. They are all in one line right now, but I can tell you in about 5 minutes, that's going to be a different story. They come to 7 laps to go. Tim Moore has probably led the most laps today. He, Kukulon, and England have mainly led the laps, and now Tim Moore in front with 7 laps to go in the Daytona 250.
Now around this corner, very unhappy words being exchanged by these drivers according to OMA and race control. Ward Burton leads, and then you've got that 12 of Kukulon in second. Hudspeth sitting in third, but with no Chevrolets to assist. So Hudspeth now must rely on the 4 of Goff and the 41 of Barron behind him. Ed, it's going to be 6 to go when they come to the line. For how long can Moore in the 22 trust Kukulon in the 12?
I think once we get to about 2 laps to go, Kukulon's going to make his move, but that doesn't mean other people will not. I mean, Riley Goff and Michael Barron, they're going to get aggressive. Remember, earlier in the race, when it came down to it by the near the halfway bonus, they completely bailed on the McGinnis guys, and they decided to take it for themselves on the outside, which is completely fair. They're trying to get the points, and if they were willing to do it then, they'd certainly do it to try to win this race. By the way, we have 3 lines in the back of the pack. They were 3 wide, 2 deep for a moment. Now everybody's trying to jump to the outside. It's now Hector Garcia leading the outside line, while the inside is Moore, Kukulon, Hudspeth, Goff, Barron, and England.
Jua well off the pace in the 1. Jackson in the 13 off the pace as well. Now Kukulon in the 12 behind that Penske teammate. 5 laps remaining at this line, Ed. 22, 12, 9, and my heart is racing. 5 to go in the OMA season opener. The bets are about to close. Who is your winning racehorse?
I picked Drew at the beginning of this thing, and he's kind of fallen out of favor here. Someone I want to keep an eye on who's getting bold, looking to the outside. He's still pretty far back. It's Logan Vera, who in the duel last night was able to close in late and ultimately get himself into this race. I'd watch him to maybe not be a winner, but be a big pusher for Chevrolet. But Hudspeth is in Jua's position, his shoes that he's been in all race long, surrounded by Fords, needing help from other people. 4 laps to go. If we do not get a wreck of more than 3 cars this lap, we will be green to the finish.
You saw the 13 of Jackson along with the 77 of Yohanian getting into the wall there, but they are safe and sound out of turn number 2. Still 22-12 leading these 2 Penske Fords at the front. Their Ford cohort, Goff sitting in the 4th position, split by 1. Gavin Hudspeth, the 96, the young one. We've been talking to him all race long, and we've been amazed at his skill. Kyle England goes to the outside, and he's going to be left out to dry like a summer towel that's been forgotten. 22-12 across the line. The Fords still lead at 3 laps to go.
Now I'm looking at what's happening behind the top 5. Jarrett Talmadge, Tyler McDonald, these are guys who know how to win. They are 6th and 7th. They need more help, obviously, but now England is there. I know Ben Smith wants to work with the Fords, but he also wants to gain some spots here and have a chance to win this race. So I'll be watching these guys to try to get around Michael Barron and beyond. We have 2.5 laps to go. It's been a long race here in the Daytona 250, but it's all coming down to this, and Tim Moore is trying to take the victory, currently holding off Sebastian Kukulon with Gavin Hudspeth in 3rd. Tim Moore is very solid at the plate tracks, but there is work to be done. Kukulon dips slightly below the yellow line, comes back up. 5 miles to go, 2 laps remaining in the Daytona 250. As Kyle England gets pushed up into the wall, that's probably the end of his day.
Weeks of preparation, months of off season has led to this. 98.5 laps of solid work to get to this point, and your race could be over in the blink of an eye. Ford, Chevrolet, Pennzoil, Peak, Napa coming into turn number 3. The 9 of Hudspeth puts the pressure on the 12 of Kukulon, who leaves just a smidgen of daylight to the inside. Ed, 2.5 miles remaining when they cross this line.
All right, Rick, I'll take us home. 1 lap to go. What will happen? The outside completely dissolved. It did not work out for Tyler Mcdonald and Jarrett Talmadge. Currently a 3-horse race. Tim Moore is in front. Sebastian Kukulon is in second. Gavin Hudspeth runs third. Can he make anything happen, or will Moore hang on? We know Sebastian Kukulon is going to try to make a pass here as they come down the back straightaway. Can Hudspeth give him the necessary push? Here they come. Goff fans out to the outside. He's got help from Michael Barron and Jarrett Talmadge. Kukulon moves to the outside too. They're side by side for the lead. Here comes Sebastian Kukulon. It's going to be another one of those famous Daytona finishes. What's going to happen? Tim Moore, they are 3 wide, trying to organize, come under the stripe. Tim Moore with Hudspeth behind him. Looks like he's going to hang on. Big crush behind. Tim Moore is going to win the Daytona 250.
Tim Moore brings it home in car 22 with Hudspeth in the 9 to the outside. You see cars spilling everywhere, and the 22 brings it home. Hudspeth sits in second. The 41 of Barron still up against the wall, and look at the carnage at the very end. Tim Moore brings it home in car 22. What a way to get this win at the end of the race. Congratulations from Rock NASCAR 388, and our good friend Timmy Moore gets his win. We'll have a word with our top 3 at the end of this race, fans. Sit tight.
Let's talk a little about this race, Rick, especially that finish. Now, there was a lot going on there. Sebastian Kukulon, you knew he wasn't going to stay right behind Tim Moore. Despite them being teammates, he wanted to win that race. And you thought maybe Hoffman Family Racing was going to try to help him to get around Tim Moore, but instead, they took it 3 wide on their own. And Rick, I think that's the move that really cost the field, because then nobody had enough momentum to get around that 22 or that 9 of Hudspeth.
An exciting finish indeed, fans. Stay tight. We're going to get our top 3 in victory lane for these interviews. Fans, welcome back. What a finish to that race. Let's have a word with driver of the number 42 Chevrolet, Jarrett Talmadge. Jarrett, congratulations on getting the 3rd spot on the podium. How was your race?
Well, the finish was a little bit sad and disappointing, but besides that, it wasn't that bad. Ran up front for a lot of it, kind of got stuck in the back for a little bit, but yeah, it wasn't really bad.
Fantastic drive, though. Did you at least have a good time out there?
Somewhat. It's hard to kind of have a good time when we got Fords making us go 180 in the middle of the turns because they want to let each other in. But besides that, pretty good.
Glad you had a good time, man. Congratulations on that bronze medal. Ed, let's see if we can get a word in with Gavin.
Thank you.
All right, let's get Gavin Hudspeth in here. Just going to move him in. Let's see. And he just dipped right out. Hold on. Just try to. Gavin, it's Eddie and Rick up in the booth. You got a copy? Gavin Hudspeth, Eddie and Rick in the booth. You got a copy?
No word from Gavin there. Let's see if we can bring in Tim in the meantime, Ed.
Yeah, let's get Tim Moore, our winner, in here. He should be all set up. Let's get him in. It's Eddie and Rick in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, let's talk to you. Tim Moore, the winner of the 6th running of the Daytona 250, your VRC debut, picking up right where you left off in the VNS at those plate tracks, running for McGinnis Motorsports, getting that number 22 to victory lane. Before we talk about anything else, just take us through the final lap. You had a whole bunch of Fords bearing down on you through 3 and 4. How'd you hold them all off?
To be honest, Eddie, the way I was looking at it is I had a lot of friends behind me. If I'm being honest, looking at it, we had Gavin Hudspeth right there, who from the start of the race, that was our plan to work with. If I'm being honest, we weren't really working with Off the Family Racing as much. Tonight, I know we worked with Riley a little bit and, gave Ben and the 41 a couple breaks here and there. But our goal, we knew who we needed to work with to find success. And I was confident. Listen, at the end of the race, it came down to one of us to win. I'm glad it's me, but overall, tonight was a team victory for everyone. Seb did a great job pushing. Gavin did an awesome job pushing. When Vinny was up there too, he was doing an awesome job. And Ike even too. I know Ike had a really rough race, but he was someone too that was really fast when it mattered, and I wish he had a chance there towards the end.
So one other question here. How do you build from this? Of course, Daytona, some people see it as a wild card event. And in past history, the person who won the Daytona 250 has not necessarily had the same success going forwards in the season. How can you build towards Las Vegas next week and throughout this enduring 7-month season?
Well, I think we can build with, starting with this point lead and trying to be consistent. We find Vegas to be one of our stronger tracks. I really think the mile-and-a-half package for us has been very strong. I know down the road we have Phoenix, I believe Auto Club, and also Chicagoland, which Chicagoland's by far one of my favorite tracks to go to on the VRC circuit. So I think we're going to be really focused on consistency. Listen, it's not easy to win one of these races. Restrictor plate races as it is are, hard enough to win. But, our expectations obviously to go out there and win every week. But I'm not going to hang my head if we come home second, third. Listen, guys like Drew, Jarrett, Tyler when he's racing, Vinny, Gavin, even Sebby, they're top-notch guys. We can't leave out Riley and Ben as well. They know what it takes to get it done. And I think that we just have to be consistent and better than bunch if we want to win a championship.
All right, well, Tim Moore, celebrate it tonight. Don't have to worry about the next few weeks just yet. You're the winner of the Daytona 250. Congrats on the win, buddy.
Thank you.
Congrats
All right,
on that.
so
Sorry, Ed. Congrats on that gold medal, Timmy. Have a good one. Ed, fantastic run tonight, man. Who would you nominate for driver of the day?
Driver of the day, I know Tim Moore won the race, and this guy did get wrecked with 2 laps to go, but you got to give it to Kyle England. We heard him during the race when he came in for a couple of these chats. He was just having fun out there. 13 years old. He's definitely got a bright future doing this, and he really put up a good fight. The fact that he was able to maintain the lead for 10 laps with Tyler McDonald pushing him, what an experience out there for England. I think he's going to have a great year in VNS, and he's got a good path heading to VRC. Not the best finish for England, but I'm giving him driver of the day, Rick.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was going to nominate the very same. Kyle England showing a lot of heart and a lot of guts in this opening event. Before we wrap it up tonight, Ed, tell your fans at home where they can follow and hear your voice.
All right, well, yeah, so I'm Eddie Kalegi. First of all, so I do a lot of broadcasting at my high school. This is actually the first time that I've broadcasted a game or race or anything of any sort really since November, just with COVID and everything. I tweeted out, I got quite the makeshift studio I had to put together in my room just to get this thing all sorted out. But I'm excited because I called this, and you can follow me at Eddie Kalegi on Twitter. And I'm going to be calling a couple of high school basketball games with my media club at my school. The season starts off. We got a boys game on Wednesday and a girls game on Friday night. So you can find me at Eddie Kalegi on Twitter. But before we sign off, Rick, I think Gavin Hudspeth is here now. Let's see. Maybe you could give him a quick interview and take us home.
Gav, Rick James in the booth. You got me, pal?
Yeah, Rick, what's up?
Thrilling run to the end there, buddy. You had second there by a nose. You looked strong in the top 5 all day. Did you have fun out there tonight?
Yeah, I think other than getting battered around by almost everybody in the back of the pack, once we made it up to the front, it was a smooth sailing from there. And I don't mind coming home on a podium spot, obviously, because when you got other guys in here that are really good, getting second's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely not. You really drove your tail off out there, Gav. And I'll pose the same question to you that we posed to Tim. How do you build from here, and what does your 2020 season look like with this silver medal from Daytona?
I think to build, you just got to be consistent and try not to get into too many scuffles and bring the car home in one piece. And, I think we have some speed at plenty of these tracks out here. It's just a matter of Lady Luck being on our side and capping off and not making a ton of mistakes.
Fantastic. Congratulations on that silver medal, Gav.
Thank you, Rick. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Gav. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here, Ed. Your fans can follow you on Twitter at Eddie Kalegi, and fans can find me on Twitter at RickJamesTV, and here on Twitch /RickJamesTV1. Give us a follow, give us a subscription, combine your Amazon and your Twitch accounts to get Twitch Prime and get 1 subscription a month. Next weekend, the OMA circus continues, Ed.
Yeah, next weekend they'll be back at it in Sin City at Las Vegas. As some people say, race 2 is when the real season kicks off. First mile and a half, VNS goes racing on Friday night, and the VRC will be back at it on Saturday from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Should be a great one, but congrats to Tim Moore, and congrats to Ford during Speed Weeks. Other than the duels, they sweep it all. Tyler McDonald won the extra race in a Ford truck. Franks won the Clash. Greg Servio wins the VNS race. Tim Moore wins tonight. How about 222s going to victory lane on back-to-back nights? What a week this week for Ford.
A fantastic week for Ford, a fantastic week for OMA and the entire NASCAR Heat 5 community. Thank you for your bits, for your subscription, just for being with us for tonight's thrilling event. For Eddie Kalegi, I'm Rick James. Stay safe, and we will see you around the corner.